Hello and welcome to NICU You. I'm Belle Stevenson and this is a podcast where we're making sense of the NICU journey, one conversation at a time. Today's episode is part of our ongoing conversations around perinatal mental health, the lived experiences, the support, education and shared understanding. And I'm really grateful that you're here with us. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe as this helps us reach and support more parents on their NICU journey. Also a quick thank you to our sponsors, Salento and Meritcom in Strabane. Both support NICU You and are great supporters of the One Day at a Time project. You can find out more at nicuyou.co.uk. In today's episode, I'm joined by Deborah Erskine, Fermanagh and South Tyrone MLA, and mother of Olivia, 5 months old, and is thriving. This conversation explores their NICU journey, perinatal mental health, and the challenges that they have faced. We're having this conversation today not just because it matters to us, but for anyone listening who may be going through something difficult like this right now. Deborah, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Belle.
You're very, very welcome. Will we just go back to where it all began? Perinatal mental health focuses on that journey from, conception, so the pregnancy right through to the baby's a year old. So will we just go back to your pregnancy?
Yeah.
How was your pregnancy and where did it actually go wrong or show signs of going wrong?
Yeah, so I think, I'll start off by saying, me and my husband found it very difficult to actually conceive. We have been trying for a while and I suppose we'd sort of given up actually. We'd went away, we were 5 years married, we went away on a holiday to Greece and we just sort of went, you know what, we've a great life, we've great family around us, we've loads of nieces and nephews, we're really content and happy in life, and we just thought this is our life and we have a dog and we just thought, we've a great life and we just thought let's not put any pressure on ourselves, and let's enjoy the life that we have. So that was in the October. And then I found out in the February then of 2025 that we were having a baby, which was really, really wonderful news. But it was a scary piece of news because we had lost before.
Right.
So it was scary as well. There was a lot of anxiety at the start. You also wonder, when am I going to tell people? When am I, when is that moment going to be? Do I do a big announcement? Do I not? And we sort of decided that we weren't going to do this big thing of a Facebook sort of post, and we weren't, because it was always filled with that bit of anxiety that then you would have to face people and go, actually,
And that's based on the loss, is it?
Yeah, that was just based on the loss and having gone through that at very, very early stages in pregnancy before. And I suppose that's still a bit of a taboo subject still in society.
Yeah.
That we don't talk about miscarriage and we don't talk about, obviously in my job it's very public facing, so the next day I had to put on a smile, get up and go out of the door again. And I look back at photographs from those events and things that I was at, and I know I can pinpoint that was a time in my life that it was really difficult and really hard.
Did you get any support with that?
No, I actually didn't, and it actually took me a long time even to tell family. It took me a long time even to sit down with my mum and dad and say, this is what happened to us. And
what do you think was holding you back from saying it? What?
I think it was maybe just the reality of the situation that had happened to us. I think it was just it was something we'd wanted for so long, and I think also it was just a realization that you were actually saying it out loud that it had happened to you. I think was part of it. Not that I was holding it back because my family wouldn't be supportive. They were great. Our family, both me and my husband, we've a great family network. They never put any pressure on us, but I think it was just the fact that you were verbalizing what had actually happened to you, and bringing home that reality, was the main thing. But look, there's loads of people that go through that. I just think that it's maybe not talked about.
No, it's not brought out and open enough.
Yeah.
And supported enough. At the time.
Yeah. And you know, I think as well there was probably that self-doubt of going, maybe the pregnancy test was wrong. Like maybe you know, maybe I got it wrong.
Yeah. Disbelief.
You know, there's
almost,
a disbelief. Yeah.
That this could happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And but look, you know, we then became very fortunate, and we're really thankful that we were then able to have Olivia, and as I said, telling family that news was really lovely. And again, I suppose as well, you know, my pregnancy was actually virtually went unnoticed because I was very sick during pregnancy.
Right, okay.
Pregnancy was really difficult for me because I was sick literally throughout. From week 7 right on, I was just as sick as a dog. Found it very hard to actually eat anything and keep it down. Chinese, I loved nothing more than a Chinese takeaway. My husband was gutted because I couldn't even eat a Chinese takeaway. So for 9 months, couldn't eat hardly a thing. And my husband was eating for 3. So a funny story about that, we went away to Donegal for a weekend, and and I thought I was actually feeling a wee bit better, so that's why we booked to go away. And thought, great, like I'm feeling better, I'll be able to eat like a lord whenever I go away. And on the way we decided we'd stop and we'd get like a toasty, and I got in the car and that was me. Sick, then sick the rest of the time we were away, and Robert had to eat all my food when we were away.
Oh God.
But yeah, pregnancy was difficult because of that, and I nearly wished pregnancy away, and
didn't enjoy your pregnancy.
Didn't really enjoy it. And as well as that, I wasn't showing,
right?
So people didn't actually realize. I was pregnant.
You were pregnant?
Yeah. People didn't realise I was pregnant, and in some respects I think that took away from the experience a wee bit as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went to all your appointments. You attended all your midwife appointments. And at what stage then was it that they noticed something wrong? Or did you have any symptoms that would have sort of, you know, said, oh, there's something not right here? What happened? How did this unfold?
Well, we had done 2 things. We had booked privately as well, because of our experience beforehand. We just wanted that extra reassurance. So we had got private scans, and obviously then we had went to our normal NHS scans as well. Went to all the appointments, and went to our 20-week scan, and sort of nervous, obviously, going to the 20-week scan. Realised that was a big one. But when we went to the 20-week scan, everything was perfect.
Okay.
And we came out of it and we were just so delighted, and we thought, right, we're on the home straight now. You know, we've got our big 20-week scan. Everything's going, yeah. We just thought everything's going hunky-dory now. And then I was going summer recess in the assembly. It ends in September. And I was going back up and down the road to Belfast again, and my appointment was due for that week where Stormont would be back up and going again. But I said to the midwife, I was like, this was a 28, 29 weeks. I said to the midwife, look, is there any way we could have that appointment earlier? It was supposed to be for my 30-week checkup. Is there any way we could have that appointment earlier? And she said, you shouldn't really be doing this. But I was like, look, I really need to do it with work. You know, it's either the week before or the week after. And was very fortunate. We got an appointment at 29 weeks, and I went to it. And it was at that appointment that we discovered that something was wrong. And there was somebody looking down above on us that day, because I was in the right place at the right time with the right midwife. And the fact that we had that appointment a week earlier, you just wonder if I had have went a week later, what would that have meant for Olivia? What would that meant for us? And sometimes it just doesn't bear thinking about.
Yeah. What did they tell you that day?
So she was checking the heart rate with the Doppler to check the heartbeat, and we were just chatting away, and I could see in her face something just wasn't right. She wasn't concentrating on the conversation we were having. And she said, have you had something to eat today? And I was like, yeah, I've had my usual fruit, which was the only thing that could have kept me going through pregnancy was fruit and veg. I've had fruit today. She was like, okay, look, baby's heart rate's a bit high here. It's a bit fast. Like, go and have a cup of tea. Come back to me. Take a wee breather, and I'll check it again in about 15 minutes.
Do you know what it was?
So
and
at that time,
the heart rate.
I didn't know at that time what it was. And I suppose I was a bit naive in thinking, I just thought the heart rate was just to check that the heart was going.
Right. Okay.
I didn't actually think that there could be an issue in terms of heart rate going too slow or too fast.
Okay.
I mean, when you think back on it now, you're like, Deborah, how naive is that? But, I just thought that was the only thing that they were checking was to make sure that there was a heartbeat. As soon as I heard the heartbeat going, I was fine. I didn't realise that there could be an issue there.
Yeah.
So I suppose I went to the car, and I sort of at that stage thought, yeah, something's not right here. And I had a wee cry. So
You're all right. Don't apologise. It's fine. Take your time. These things are difficult, and they come back to you when you talk about them. And the more you talk about it, the better it gets for you, but it's very, very difficult.
Yeah. No, I suppose.
It's okay, because at that point, possibly things were going through your head.
Yeah. I suppose at that point, I just sort of thought, oh, sorry.
All right.
I just sort of thought, this is it, and I suppose I phoned my husband, and I was trying to, my mum had phoned in between, and I was holding it together because I didn't want her to know that this had happened, because she would have been very worried. And so I went back up for the appointment, and the midwife was waiting for me. And sorry,
You're all right.
It's hard.
It's going so far, thinking things is going to be okay after the devastation before it, and then thinking, not again. Is this?
I think it was just at that moment, when you look back, I really thought that my baby was going to die, really.
Yeah.
Which seems strange, because when I talk about what happens next, you would think that that's a bit, but it was actually that bit that I probably was most scared, because we just did not know what this meant. And we didn't know. You can't see.
It's scans,
and
you don't see much.
It was such a shock, because everything had been going fine, bar the fact that I was unwell, and I suppose I felt, have I done something wrong? Have I not maybe eaten enough, or have I not done something? And I think for women, we put an awful lot of pressure on ourselves, when we're going through pregnancy. There's an awful lot of anxiety there. Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Am I not?
Like self-blame almost.
Yeah.
Or looking for blame for
yeah.
yourself.
So I think it was at that moment then, whenever I went back, and she said, look, the baby's heart rate is very fast here. I'm finding it really difficult to count the heart rate. I mean, we're sitting at around 230.
Right.
So it's high. And you know, I'm very grateful for that midwife and the fact that she picked up on it.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that she picked up that the baby's heart rate was going too fast. Because you know from your experience, it could be very easy to sort of, not dismiss or anything, but it can be very easy whenever it's such a high heart rate.
Yeah.
That it can be difficult to count. But anyway, she said, like, yeah, you have to go to the swab. So went and got my husband, and we went to the swab, and that journey felt like it took days. It felt like it took forever. And then when we got to the swab, me and my husband couldn't find where the maternity unit was, so
Right.
we were walking around.
Right.
So that's one tip for anybody who's in that situation.
Find out.
Find
where you're
out
going.
where the maternity is, because
Yeah.
if you're in an emergency situation like we were, then
So you weren't taken by ambulance then?
no,
You were
I
on
was
your
told,
own
I was
device,
told to go straight ourselves to the SWA. Yeah. And but that's definitely a tip. Make sure you know where
Yeah.
your maternity units are, no matter what hospital you're going to.
Good advice.
Yeah. So and then when we got in, they knew that we were coming. The midwife had rang ahead, and we went straight in. I was strapped up, checked the heart rate, and I'd hardly my bum to the bed. Whenever I was strapped up, till it was like, no, come, you have to come with us. We were brought into this room, a delivery room, I suppose, and it was cannula in, consultants flying in, nurses flying in, and I just looked at my husband, and we were just like, what on earth? Everything just moved so quick. It was crazy.
Did you know what was happening? Did you know what they were going to do? Did anybody explain anything?
There was a lot of questions. Again, what did you eat today? What have you been exercising? Have you been doing this? Have you been doing that? And I just felt that there was an awful lot of questions about what I had been doing, and that's what made me think: have I done something
Right,
wrong
okay.
here? And then it was explained, like, we're putting in a cannula. This is for steroids in case we need to deliver.
Right.
And I was thinking, wow, like, going to deliver today, like, what's going to happen? And that was scary, because obviously at that stage, I was only 29 weeks, and
Yeah.
I was beginning to think, is it safe? What's happening? And at the same time I was thinking, like, is every minute counting here? Is, because it hadn't at that stage been why is my baby got a high heart rate? The other scary thing was we were told at that stage, like, your baby's heart rate is so high, it's not even, we can't even measure it. We have to write it on manually now. And I was thinking, right, so in the space of like an hour, my baby's heart rate's going higher and higher. We eventually got scanned by a consultant who did an ultrasound, and he actually said, look, I think this is a heart condition called SVT, supraventricular tachycardia.
Very good. It's a hard one to pronounce. Yeah.
So he said, look, it's this. Again, he was like, we need to get that confirmed. Sorry, excuse me. We need to get that confirmed. And and you're most likely going to have to go to the Royal.
And at that stage, Deborah, what were your emotions like?
I think in some respects I was relieved that they knew what it was. And I don't know, there was a weird then sort of calm after we'd had the scan.
Yeah.
Of sort of going, right, okay, they know what it is now, and they're going to deal with it. I didn't quite know what would be coming next, or what, you were just sort of thinking in the here and now. You were thinking, right, okay, the next step is now going in an ambulance to hospital. That was,
Would it have helped if somebody had said, look, here's what's going to happen next, or here's what's going to, where we're going to go?
I suppose to be fair, probably didn't really know themselves. And I suppose for them, their aim was to make sure I was getting to the specialist as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And, they said that to me. They were very open and said, like, we know what it is, but, you're going to have to go where the experts are, who deal with this specifically. And I suppose for me, there was a calmness of knowing, right, there is somebody who's going to come and tell us and look
Sort
at this.
out.
Yeah.
And that was in the Royal? You blue lighted?
Yeah, blue lighted to the Royal. Yeah.
Regional unit? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
The regional unit, yeah.
Okay. So, at what point then did Olivia make an appearance? And, I take it they did. They settled the heart rate. They put you in medication and they got everything under control.
Yeah, so I was in the Royal. They immediately then scanned and confirmed the diagnosis. I then met our paediatric cardiologist consultant the next day, along with a support nurse who was absolutely, both of them were absolutely fantastic. I cannot praise those people enough. Like, they have become family.
Oh.
And they were just brilliant. But he confirmed and he spoke to us and told us what SVT was about. And he gave us a wee booklet from the British Heart Foundation and shared some academic things with us, papers and things like that we could read up on it, because me and my husband asked a lot of questions right from the get-go, and we're two people. I suppose in my job, I like questions. I like to know the answer to things. I like to deal in reality and fact.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's your baby. It's your journey. So it's really important that you know what's happening.
Yeah. And to be fair, the midwives on A ward, I'll give them a shout out if they're listening, but A ward that I was on, they were very, very good in, for ward rounds and things like that. They were very keen to make sure if you have questions, write them on a piece of paper, make sure you have them beside you, ask those questions. They were very encouraging to make sure that you always asked questions, because they made that exact same point. This is your baby, this is your life, and you need to know.
Yeah. So this has been a really interesting episode. So I think we're going to come back and revisit this in part 2. This has been Belle Stevenson, NICU You. Until next time, take care.
You've been listening to the NICU You podcast with your host, Belle Stevenson, supported by Cilento and Meritcom, recorded at and produced by 9874 Creative.